Welcome to the Extraordinary Culture Podcast. Podcast for the culture that is music, movies, sports, food, and beer. The Extraordinary Culture.
Welcome to the first episode of the Extraordinary Culture Podcast. I'm going to be your host, Xavier, along with
Rick.
Dan?
And Dan.
All right, so guys, let's talk about how this podcast came about and why we decided to go recording, and talk a little bit about yourself.
Well, normally what we end up doing is just kind of talking to each other about a bunch of different things anyway, varied interests and things that we like, so we decided let's just put that all together and basically have a little round-robin session on what we've been into.
Basically, after 20 years of friendship plus and then being family members, it just comes naturally to sit around and shoot the breeze, so why not record it?
When we first started doing all of this, I remember that this all kind of came from our original podcast that we had hosted called Dead Boy Pro Weekly, then went to bi-weekly, then monthly, and all that other bullshit.
Then it just kind of went away.
And it just kind of went away. But I know we've always wanted to do it again, so I'm really glad that we got the opportunity to do it again, start a new podcast.
Yeah, and I was helping out with some friends of mine with Football Matters, and it was great to be on a live show and just talking about something you have passion for, whether it's sports, music, beer, anything that you got a passion for. That's great to talk about it.
The thing about a lot of us is we all have a lot of the same interests, and like they're varied. So we're into music, and we're into movies and sports and food and beer. So we
Especially
just decided
food.
to share that with you.
And
yeah,
beer.
if you see us, especially
beer.
the food. Yeah. So anyway, I guess at this point we're gonna go ahead and talk a little bit about ourselves and kind of get to know who we are.
So I'm Xavier. I'm the oldest one here, so probably people call me Grandpa or Pops. My top favorite bands are The Clash, The Ramones, The Beastie Boys. Clash, Ramones, and Rancid, of course, and probably Social Distortion. Probably Social Distortion is one of the bands I go see the most. My top favorite movies are The Empire Strikes Back, Goodfellas, Raging Bull. And I was talking to a friend of mine about this. Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
For being
great movie.
like a newer movie, it just got
to
to
say
say
new or old.
Yeah, newer
I
old
was
one.
gonna say Soderbergh or,
You know, for me, all my movies are old. And then this old war movie called Stalag 17. My interests are varied all over the place. I love beer. As you could, I'm a partner in a brewery, and so I love beer. I also love music, going to live shows, and I love comic books and a lot of that geek culture. And if you see me, I don't really look like a typical geek.
I'm Rick. Once in a while, people call me Reverend Rick. I am available for weddings.
God,
one
that was a
on-
long time ago.
got one scheduled for November, actually.
Do you
Coming
really?
Up, coming
No
up next
shit.
year, yeah.
I was gonna say it is November. How'd that work out
Yes,
for you?
I know. 2018. Couple of my favorite bands: Descendants, Alkaline Trio, The Ramones. I'm into the folk following right now, so Frank Turner, Chuck Reagan, a little bit of everything. Weezer, all that. Movies, of course, the Holy Saga. But besides that, I think my favorite movie is definitely going to be Back to the Future. Big Lebowski, anything we can quote. That's always fun.
Does the trilogy count as 3 movies?
I'm counting it as a trilogy of trilogies.
Fair enough.
Big time wrestling fan from the 80s till now, so that's something you'll probably hear on the podcast coming up here. Same thing, going to shows. I do a lot of work with community service and education too, so pretty well rounded.
My name is Dan. I'm the second oldest here. I had to throw that in for Xavier.
You're Dan the Man.
Oldest man. Yeah,
What
they
the
do-
hell? So that makes me the youngest?
That makes you the that makes you the youngest. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
weird.
They do call me Dan the Man. As far as favorite bands, I'm into the Misfits, AFI, Social Distortion, Rancid probably be my top 4. I don't know if I can choose a 5th one. Movies or Star Wars. I even like the prequels, not as much as the originals, of course, but it is what it is. Goodfellas, of course, the Godfather movies. You know what's actually a really good movie? You did mention Ocean's 11. I always find myself sitting down. The name of it is totally gone. It's that Stephen King movie in the prison.
The Shawshank
The
Redemption.
Shawshank Redemption, man. Every time that movie's on, I gotta finish watching it. I don't know why.
I know
was
what you
gonna say
mean.
Green Mile.
Because a friend of
Green
mine,
Mile's another one. Yeah, that's
a
another
friend of
one.
mine, every time at his house that movie comes on, we just sit there and watch the whole thing. We don't change the channel. We just sit there and watch the whole Shawshank
The only time I
Redemption.
change the channel is like during commercials, and then I try to get back before it starts again. But other than that, yeah, I listen to
You tightwad, buy the Blu-ray.
and yeah, I've never done
Wait, you download it? One of the two?
that. Movies
Google?
anywhere.
Is it
that's
on
the-
Netflix?
I don't know. It's always on. You can always find it like AMC or something. Anyway.
It's on once a month.
Yeah, and easily. So into punk rock, ska, psychobilly, stuff like that. I'm a Raiders fan. I'm an Angels fan. Pro wrestling, I still do catch up once in a while with what's going on. NXT is probably the hottest thing going right now as far as that is concerned.
Not the Bullet Club?
Yeah, the Bullet Club, New Japan. Beer, of course. Food, I like a lot of food. Sometimes my stomach doesn't. But anyway, that's kind of where it's at.
I'm Dan, the youngest. I guess then we can just put it. Son of a bitch, I am the youngest. So my top 5 favorite bands. Well, gosh, I've always grown up listening to like Bad Religion, the Misfits.
That's the one I forgot.
AFI.
Bad Religion.
Yeah, Bad Religion's one of the first bands I really got into. Gosh, who else? Alkaline Trio. Rick got me really on the Alkaline Trio, and I never really looked back. Hot Water Music has been another band that I've been really into as of late. Top 5 movies? Oh, Jesus Christ! Anything with Cheech and Chong, anything with Star Wars. I have not watched a lot of movies as of late, which is really funny considering I work at a barbershop and we watch movies all the time, but I never really pay attention. Actually, Assassin's Creed. Haven't you guys seen Assassin's Creed?
The movie?
The
No.
movie.
No, I don't think anybody did.
It's actually pretty good. I liked it. I thought for what it was, I thought it was pretty good. I mean, what kind of level of expectation can you have for Assassin's Creed?
That's true, not high.
But yeah, that and a lot of like Netflix and Hulu, but a lot of Bob's Burgers. I know that doesn't really count for a movie. Is that 5 so far? I don't know.
It doesn't matter.
No one was counting.
Who's keeping track?
It takes too much
My
work.
interest, as of late, I have over the past like couple of years, I have consumed a lot of cannabis lately.
It is legal now in California.
I'm not. As much as I want to be in a beer, I really want to be in a beer. Just really not. I smoke a lot more weed, and I'm totally cool with that. I do like beer though. Beer's always got a soft spot in my heart. In fact, I see a 6-pack sitting over there that has our
That's
name
quite
on
good.
it.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah, I mean, as far as my interests go, gosh, over the past couple of years, cutting hair has consumed my life. I own an awesome barbershop. I work in an awesome barbershop. So that's pretty much just consumed my whole life. That and actually pro wrestling. I have been getting back into pro wrestling a lot lately, to the point where it makes everybody I work with sick. And I'm perfectly
my
fine with that. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much what I've been into lately. Gosh, really wanting to get this podcast going. Really trying to figure out what we can do as far as bring some really cool content.
You know what I found funny? None of us mentioned Disney.
I don't have a pass anymore, so I'm not really.
I
I'm not a
like
Disney.
Disney. I like Disney movies, but I wouldn't necessarily say they're like my top 5.
Just in
Oh.
terms of things we're into. I mean, how many of us,
Oh,
even if it's just Disney movies, or
wow.
No,
walking
I'm
around with a Mickey Mouse shirt on?
Huge Disney
Yeah.
Disney nerds. No patches, and no one's got patches. No one's patched up.
no, no
These
one's
no
patches.
patches.
I got a little crew going though.
Yeah.
I've been on a Disney podcast for quite a number of episodes. Those guys are good friends of mine. A shout out to the Mouse Pyre guys, Diggs, Anthony, and Michael. What's up, guys? But yeah, I mean, I've been a pass holder for. I think I'm the only consistent pass holder. I never let my pass
I
lapse.
think you've had one, what,
You have
15 years?
No, more than that. Probably
20
close to 17 years. I don't think it's quite been 20. It was a few years after my wife and I started dating, so probably about 17 or 18
Consistently?
years.
It was
Consistently,
about,
every
it was
year.
99-ish.
Now,
Probably
since
my senior.
since you've done like the passes for so long, have you gotten anything out of this?
A discount? No.
Not even like not even like recognition.
Oh
or
God,
anything?
no! They don't recognize anything. They just
Did
want
you
my
at least
money.
get the magnet?
More
I
money.
didn't even get a magnet. The wife did.
I got one.
Dirty. That is what it is.
It's all good though.
But yeah, we've got a passion for that too. So that may come up every once in a while, but it's not. I mean, I kind of leave that. I do record with the Mouse Pyre guys every once in a while, and I think I'm actually probably tomorrow going to record with them. That side is kind of over there. Something may come up, but I don't think it's going to be anything we touch on a regular basis unless something happened to me, like I got in a cool fight at Disney or something like that. But
I mean, I think more we'll be talking about more Star Wars every episode until the end of time.
yeah,
But I mean, I actually we should probably put that as a segment, just Star Wars, and then we'll just talk about Star Wars for a segment. But we'll see what comes up.
Bud Light presents Real Men of Genius.
Real men of
genius.
Today we salute you, Mr. Hair Gel Overgeller.
Mr. Hair Gel Overgeller.
Less ambitious men stop with 2-in-1 shampoo. But you put in countless hours, tireless dedication, and a 5-gallon drum of industrial adhesive.
Sticky goo.
Like a lacquered hedgehog or oily porcupine, what woman wouldn't want to run her fingers through your razor-sharp stalagmites of hair?
Or is it stalactites?
Wind, water, stray bullets, even repeated hammer blows. Nothing can muss your immovable mane.
I got a hair helmet.
So crack open an ice-cold Bud Light, oh master of the moose. And while you're at it, crack open another bucket of goo.
Mr. Hair Gel Overgeller.
Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
All right, so about 2 weeks ago, ESPN did the 30 for 30 on Ric Flair. Now, I've been a huge mark, so I'm using industry lingo. I'm a big fan of Ric Flair for the last 20 years. I hated him at first because he was a real world champion. But did anybody else catch it? What did you guys think about it?
Yeah, I watched it.
It was
did
pretty
too.
cool.
You know, they had a lot of stuff come out slowly but surely over the few months leading up to it. Like I had already read about his alcohol consumption and getting to that point, and his statements about the women he's been with and things like that. But some of those other pieces, the early history, seeing that was kind of like mind blowing. I mean, wow, I never knew he was adopted.
Yeah, I had bits and pieces of these kind of things. Like I knew he was in a plane crash and his body kind of transformed. It was like this big, like almost bodybuilder type body, and then he was in a plane crash where he broke his back. And there's a lot of other pro wrestlers that were in that plane crash too. One of them was like Mr. Wrestling 2, who after the plane crash went back and wrestled like 2 weeks later because the guy didn't want to break kayfabe and say that he was in the plane with these guys. But his body changed, and that's when he became the Nature Boy. He became the woo styling and profiling with the robes and everything, like the bleached blonde hair, the stealing kisses, and I mean, I don't remember all of what he says. I mean, I don't think I'm horrible with my memory, so I don't remember all he says, but that's when he transformed. I knew he was adopted. I knew about his alcohol consumption. But I mean, he was drinking like 10 beers like in the morning and then like 10 in the evening and doing like a flight of kamikazes with like everybody in the bar and just like going to bed at 3 in the morning and waking up and wrestling the next day. And I mean, I don't know how he didn't get killed, or I'm surprised he's not like Scott Hall, who was like, going to the ring drunk.
Yeah, I think he's a dick. Like for real, like watching that, I was like, just the way that he dealt with his kids growing up. Like being a dad, it's kind of tough. Thinking that like I'm just gonna forego everything my kids are doing. Like I understand the job part of it, but him like getting home and not wanting to be home, or I guess paying attention to him, like I didn't understand that part. I think he's a dick for that. A great wrestler, yeah, definitely, of course, one of the best. But I guess you got to sacrifice something in order to do that. But in my own life, I wouldn't be able to sacrifice that to do that.
It just is such a big contrast because you see like Hulk Hogan, who was the other big wrestler at the time. Those probably. From when I grew up in the 80s to the 90s, those were probably the top 2 wrestlers in wrestling.
I don't remember who said it on that special, but one of the quotes from that was something like, you had these 2 guys who were that, and it was like Hogan catered to the kids, and he was like, for lack of a better term, the cartoony type person that just appealed to kind of the everyman and the kids, and Flair was like the working man's champion. He's what you wanted to be, what you wanted to aspire to as a working man. I thought that was kind of interesting.
And going back to what I was saying, that Hulk Hogan was the father. Like, he had Hogan, Hogan Knows Best.
Yeah.
And he nurtured his kids, and he brought them up well. I mean, they still fucked up a lot, but I mean, he was there as a parent all the time, even though he was on the road traveling.
Was his kid in jail?
Yeah, or was in jail. But he was there available for his kids. Where Ric Flair was like, oh yeah, you're my kids. Well, maybe I'll go to a birthday party if I can make it. But
to buy him off.
But yeah, buy him off. When was the daughter saying that she had like 24 Couch Patch dolls?
Yeah.
When nobody could buy a Couch Patch doll at the time.
Right, we hear about the fights in the stores for those and Tickle Me Elmo.
So yeah, I mean, he was a dick. And like he said, he goes, what do you want to be remembered as? He said, well, I would like to be remembered as a good father, but I wasn't. So I guess I have to be remembered as the greatest wrestler of all time.
I mean, other than the content of the show, I thought actually the way it was pieced together was done really well. It gave you a good insight as to who this guy, who he was, and who he is, And then I kind of dug the way that when it was a backstory, when he was telling some background story, it was animated, which I thought was kind of cool. To give you an idea, like it was probably ended up something like this.
Well, that
I
was
just thought it was
similar to
kinda
the way the Kurt Cobain documentary a few years ago did it. A lot
Which
of those
one?
pieces, I can't remember the name of the darn documentary.
It wasn't the one that.
It was on HBO.
Oh no, I don't think I saw.
Oh yeah. The one where he had his journals.
Yes.
Oh.
So that was similar. They put the animated pieces in there to get to those pieces. It's hard to go and relive that. Obviously, there wasn't as much video.
You know, maybe it's cheaper than hiring actors.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like what's that show? America's Most Wanted. Reenactment.
I mean, but who could play Ric Flair? I mean, if they did a movie, who could play him? Seriously.
Nope, got no one.
I
Can't
wouldn't
even
even
remember.
know.
Huh?
I wouldn't know.
Yeah. I mean,
If you know somebody that you think would make a good Ric Flair, that would be a good thing to email us about.
yes. And we'll bring up the email, which is xoccast@yahoo.com. Excuse me, it's XOCAST@yahoo.com.
Yeah. Damn it, I need a drink.
You know where you should go?
Where?
Chino Valley Brewing, Ontario.
Got a website for that?
Yes, ChinoValleyBrewery.com.
Excellent.
All right, hey, so I did something cool last month. I actually worked Pumpkin Brew, which is Brouhaha, the festival. They had a festival combined with Punk and Drublic from the band No Effects. So No Effects came out with a beer from Stone, and what they did was they put together a tour with Bad Religion, which those two bands alone are enough to sell tickets. But what they did was they took this tour on the road called Punk and Drublic, and the one that they had in Huntington they called Punk and Brew. So I work with an organization that mentors students, both little elementary kids and then high school kids. And I got the opportunity to actually go and volunteer at the festival serving beer, and then in return I was able to get into the concert for free, which was a bonus for me because it was like $60. So I went and I had the opportunity to work with Alesmith Brewing out of San Diego, and I've had some of their stuff before, and I actually brought some tonight so we can sample that in the beer segment. That's what we're going to do later.
I like
But
beer.
it was pretty cool. We served 4 different beers there, and I worked right next to Ska Brewing, which is pretty good too.
Yeah, Scott Brewing's out of Colorado. I've had it before. One of their most famous one is Modus Operandi.
Now it's available here in California.
Yes.
You can actually go and get it. So I had their blonde too. Was able to sneak a little bit of beer. Wasn't supposed to drink during the festival, but I might have managed to sneak a few beers. But anyway, it was pretty cool because we served, and then what was going on, it was put on by Fat Mike of NoFX and KLOS, which, if you know KLOS,
KLOS.
yeah, I couldn't understand that, which is like a classic rock station. So they played punk rock all day over the PA. So
Well, you know why
I
they did
didn't
the
get to
pro-
see.
You
What's
know
that?
why they're probably part of that? Steve Jones, Jonesy's Jukebox. He does. He
Maybe,
plays-
but he had
plays
nothing
a
to,
lot of
like
whatever
he
wants,
wasn't
so.
he wasn't there to do anything.
Yeah, but
And as a sponsor, like, you know, they played music, and they had a KLOS booth where all the beer tents were, and it was punk rock all day, and it was great punk rock. It was old punk rock, newer punk rock, but it was like he took my iPod and just put it on shuffle and let it play. It was good stuff, but we were like, this is not KLOS playing this stuff. So I didn't get to see the opening bands because I was working, but that was a good time because everybody there was a punk rock. Like I had on a Rancid t-shirt and my Social Distortion hat, you know, which everybody kind of figured out, oh, this guy's really into this stuff. Because a lot of the volunteers, you could tell they weren't into the music.
They're just there for the
They were
beer.
they were there for the volunteering part because every
Bless their
volunteer
hearts.
yeah, exactly. And I did it for, double full. I just got a bonus out of it. But
So it's all about playing the game.
everybody that volunteered, the organization got money for those people. So I got a bonus. I got to raise money for an organization that's pretty cool, and then I got the show for free. So I didn't get to see DI and Guttermouth and the opening bands. I did get to catch Strung Out, Goldfinger, who I've never seen live before, who actually were really good.
Wow. I didn't know they're still around.
Yeah, here in your bedroom. Anyway, Bad Religion, and of course No Effects. And I'm gonna tell you, No Effects really does suck live. They're not that good. I've seen No Effects actually quite a few times
Yeah,
live.
we saw him with Rancid one time. Open up for Rancid.
That was a good show.
Yeah.
The last few No Effects shows that I've been to, I think Mike's a little too much into the drugs, and they just don't come off as well. I kind of had that in the back of my head that's like, I don't know. I mean, when they played the old stuff, it was good, but it just wasn't feeling the whole thing.
Remember the last time we saw them together, someone threw up behind you?
Yeah, and I didn't think it was that good then. I do remember that House of Blues defunct now. Anyway, so some random lady when we were walking back to the shuttle to take us back to the parking lot was like, am I the only one that feels robbed? I'm like, what do you mean? NoFX wasn't that good. And I'm like, they never are that good.
I heard they suck live.
Yeah, no, you're right. The live album. It's kind of true. No, it isn't just a clever name. Like, it really is kind of true. They're when they're on, they're on. But when they're not, they're not. Bad Religion ruled the night, though. I mean, it's just, one of the top
I've
five
never
favorite
seen
bands.
the Bad Religion show ever.
No, Grandpa Greg, because he looks
Greg.
like a grandpa. Was
Whipping his
was
dick out all
that.
over the internet.
Yes.
Okay, you gotta explain that because there's a lot of people not gonna understand that.
So there's a story about a girl who purchased his thesis
Yeah.
online, and he actually left his what was his Yahoo Messenger name on there, and she just by chance happened to try it, reach out to him, see if it was really him. He answered, and then all of a sudden he wanted to see her titties, and then he wanted to beat off in front of her. There's video.
Wait, sure that wasn't Louis C.K.?
It could have been. It might as well have been. But the boyfriend was just telling her, dude, if the man says it, do it.
He's a doctor.
Listen to the doctor. The doctor is telling you what to do. You better listen.
Prescribing it.
No,
So-
that's I don't know if that sounds real or not. It doesn't really sound like anything he would do.
There's pictures of it online. You
Oh,
just go
well.
online. You
No, in this
probably-
day and age, he can be president.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So there you go for
yeah.
that one. But anyway, so the show is really good. It was on the beach, which is kind of weird. It's very hard to hit.
So it was in the sand.
It was in the sand.
Wow.
Yeah.
I saw pictures.
I
of
mean,
that. That
we're
was
really
weird.
like 50 feet from the shore. It was just right there.
Was it just a big old cloud of dust?
Just
No,
a lot of people.
it was just a lot of people stumbling, and it was the 40-plus club. Because every pen on that bill was like our age. It was a lot of fun. What's that one Bad Religion song that goes "Until I Reach the Shore"? Greg Graffin had fun with that one because he's like, it's right there, about 200 feet away. Like the guitar solo was right after that part. Yeah, so that was a lot of fun. Very hard to pit in the sand. If they do it next year, which they kind of said that they were going to do, I'm going to go. I'm going to do it again. I had a lot of fun serving beer, messing with people, just bad jokes, and giving them a bunch of shit just because I can, because they see like this guy's a punk rock just like the rest of us, so he can talk shit and it's no big deal. A lot of fun.
Well, that's cool. And when was that? Anyways.
The end of October, like the 26th, 28th, just right before Halloween.
Yeah, it was like the weekend before Halloween.
Yeah.
So there's a good chance they'll probably wind up doing it again right before Halloween.
Yeah, I hope so. And again, the location was nice. We lucked out on the weather. Traffic getting out there wasn't bad. Getting out of there wasn't bad. Something can be said of the shuttles to and from the place because that shit was unorganized. But the whole concert came off really good. I heard some complaints about people, you need more bathrooms and stuff, but it wasn't, it wasn't
Plenty
ridiculous.
of sand everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like a giant litter box.
There was a freaking like a village of porta potties. There were plenty there. It's just when we left, the
Okay, but
beer.
you've seen beer and music.
Well, when we left,
At the beach.
when we were done working our shift at 4:00, is when the beer tent shut down.
Okay.
So all of us that had been there and kind of had been drinking too, everybody's gonna go take a piss before you're gonna go see the bands.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
the main bands are ready to start by 4:00.
Mhm.
So that was a long line. It wasn't ridiculous. I didn't wait any more than like maybe 5 or 6 minutes in line. It wasn't anything crazy.
What time did it start?
And how many?
I got there at like 11:00 in the morning. Started at one. Well, started at noon if you had a VIP pass. So people were coming in already with the little tasters at noon, but technically at 1. So from 1 to 4 was the free serve, and then the concert got out a little bit before 10. So I was there literally all day.
So it was a typical like OC Brouhaha type schedule.
Yeah, it was the Brouhaha. It was Brouhaha who put it on.
Now, was it a full set or was it half-hour sets?
No, it was full set. So Bad Religion played for over 45 minutes, almost an hour. No, a little over an hour. Played for a little over an hour, and then NoFX for about the same. And I left trying to get out of trying to beat traffic back. So like there's like 15,000 people here. So we left about 3/4 of the way during NoFX's set. Okay, because they're playing stuff I don't know. I haven't really kept up with them as I did in the old days, and that's when I started playing all the good shit. It's when I started to walk away. But it was loud enough anyway that I could still hear it. So it was kind of cool.
So is anybody going anything coming up soon?
Yeah, we got tickets for Dan and I, Dan the Man, have tickets for Hepcat December 8th at Romano's in Riverside.
Is that already sold out?
I don't think so. I think
During
it
the
just
week,
went
it
on-
was still on sale. I
Yeah.
don't know yet.
It just went on sale like last week or something.
Yeah,
right?
last Friday. But
Yeah.
that place always sells out when Hepcat plays.
Every place always sells out when Hepcat plays.
Yeah, I mean, Hepcat has this huge following. They haven't released an album in ages. They just released Right on Time on vinyl.
It just came out today.
Today,
They
yeah.
just got it.
Oh wow.
So, I mean, they had this huge following with no music. I mean, everybody does like their separate thing, and then like maybe once a year, a couple times a year, they'll go play a couple shows,
I
and
think it's usually here on the West Coast.
yeah, and they might do like a little tour back east or in other cities, but I mean, they're probably playing in the LA area. I know Romano's tries to get them at least once a year, if not more.
It used to be House of Blues before that.
Yeah, House of Blues. Was it LA or OC?
Both of them.
Both,
I
yeah.
think a lot of OC.
Yeah, I
So
remember
we've
seeing
them
it
a couple
twice in
times
OC.
at Yeah. So we got that coming up. Not much before the end of the year. As I say this, Three Bad Jacks are going to play actually next week. Yeah, Three Bad Jacks are going to play next week in Riverside. They're at Hawaii now. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah,
Oh.
Elvis lives in Hawaii. So he still comes over here to play shows.
Not
So-
a bad place to be based out of.
No, that's a good. I almost gave up my job to become a bellman in Hawaii. I had it all figured out too. It's like, man, it's warm enough. I could sleep outside. I'll invade these luau's for food because you can never really tell who's supposed to be there and who's not. learn how to make baskets out of the big leaves and sell it as the spirit of aloha and some bullshit like that.
Were you?
Like, I had it, dude. Like I saw my house online.
Were you gonna change your name to Kuno and start giving service?
No, Kona Crush. Yeah.
I mean, Brian Adams.
Yeah.
What was the name of Demolitions? It was just Crush, right?
Yeah, that's why I said that.
And I booked a table for you and I for
Oh yeah, that's right.
Chuck Reagan coming up in
That's in
February. It's a little
February.
way away, but still, but that'll
No,
be
that'll be a good time.
You haven't seen him at the Slide Bar, huh?
I'm actually no, not at the slide bar. Gosh, actually, when was the last time that I saw even Hot Water Music? Was a very long time ago. You know, actually, the last time I saw Hot Water Music was Easter in Anaheim with Bad Religion and Less Than Jake. Hot Water Music was actually the opening band. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. Wow,
That was the last time I've seen Hot Water Music. Yeah,
they've come a long way since then.
they have. Long from opening band.
It's never too early to start beefing up your obituary. Stay thirsty, my friends.
And now it's time for a beer break.
What'd you bring for us today?
Well, this is from AleSmith Brewing, who we got a soft spot for now because it worked for them. This is San Diego Pale Ale, $3.94. It's one of their signature beers.
Now, do you know why it's called 394?
Is that Tony Gwynn's batting average?
Exactly. So this beer, if you don't know, is named for Tony Gwynn's batting average. Tony Gwynn, if you don't know, is a fantastic baseball player. He was the last baseball player to have his average that high. He never got broke 400. The year he was going to do it was 1994, which was a baseball strike year.
More info than I needed, but thank you. So what do you guys think?
It's good.
Nutty.
What's that?
Nutty.
Nutty?
Nutty or piney?
Say piney. It is a pale ale.
There's a bouquet to it that strikes the tongue.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's got a citricy. It's smooth though.
You're also asking the guy that only smokes weed.
So air's going to be danky for you.
It was a fantastic way of putting it, yes.
Not overly harsh. I mean, something that sometimes in the pale, you get that kind of harshness with the backbite. It's not bad.
It's good.
It's not as harsh as an IPA.
No.
Yeah.
definitely not.
It is pretty smooth as far as that. If I'm catching that. Not bad. AleSmith, I've had a couple of things from AleSmith. I enjoy it. I enjoy their brewery.
Overall, AleSmith does really good beers. They're known for their 4 or 5...
San Diego style.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Speedway Stout. And just so you guys know, San Diego Style is a pale ale that's hopped up a little bit more, but it's not quite an IPA, which is India Pale Ale, which is really hoppy.
Yeah, those are the ones that get you. You wouldn't actually. You don't like IPAs.
Not a big fan
Not
of
a fan of big
I
IPAs.
mean,
Yeah, this isn't quite an IPA.
But that's just me. I'm nobody.
So what we're trying to do here is to actually go through
Get
and-
sponsors.
well, of course, get sponsors, but every time we do this, to try something new.
Yeah.
Just so, even if it's just we grab a bottle and just taste it
Yeah.
out of that, just so you can get an idea of the kind of stuff that we drink. Because I like beer, but I like the taste of beer.
Yeah.
I don't drink beer all the time, but I actually do enjoy beer.
Well, what's your go-to beer if you're just sitting around relaxing, enjoying something?
Honestly, probably Bud Light because it's probably the most readily available if we're doing something. I much rather prefer it in a bottle than a can. You know what I actually like? I like Carl Strauss, the red trolley. I like reds.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so that's kind of my go. If I'm out somewhere and it's like they don't have a big beer selection, you can usually find like a red, and it's usually Carl Strauss, which is pretty good.
What do you go for, Xavier? Something?
Like if I'm going somewhere, going out, like if I go to a party and I know a lot of people aren't beer drinkers, which I usually bring Firestone Walker's 805. No, is it Firestone Walker 805?
The 805, and that's
Blonde.
me too. Yeah.
If I know somebody who's a little more beer savvy, I usually take Anchor Steam, which is a great like they call it a California Common, which is kind of a lager. And to me, I'm just all over the place with beers. It just depends on my mood. Most of the time, it's Racer 5 IPA.
That's good too.
Yeah. So if I see that one, like, I know that's good. Sculpin from Ballast Point is really good too.
Sculpin's I like, yeah. That's typically what I'll go to too. Is like an 805 if I'm just going somewhere, shooting a breeze with people, or taking something to do a party or get together. Nice little 805. New brewery opened up by me, Thompson.
Reopened.
Reopened. Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, so kind of trying to hit that a little bit more.
Oh, there. Yeah.
Not to knock on our sponsors, or Chino Valley Brewing, but
No, we're good.
It's closer.
Yeah, we're good friends with Thompson Brewing Company.
Well, good to know. Good to know.
I actually have a funny story about 805. So we moved into this house in January, and when we pulled up, one of the first things that we all noticed that was really different about our house was there's an 805 logo next to the street address. So whoever lived here before really liked 805.
And we're talking painted on the curb.
Painted.
Yeah,
on the
I noticed
curb.
that. I'm like, oh my god, that is so cool. I go, Dan did that? I go, nah, and I forgot to ask him. So
Yeah, it was pretty interesting when we pulled up and we saw that. Now every time I pull up to my house, I look at it. Wow, I guess I really like 805 now.
Hey, so well, craft beer's kind of been a thing for a while now. We've been doing it. I was thinking the other day, somebody was talking to me about how did you get into this kind of thing, and I said, you know what? It all kind of started because, we were drinking Bud Light and stuff, and then you know what it was, dude? Rockets. Whenever we'd go to Club Rocket, they would catch some of the bands. They always had the Newcastle specials, and it was like $3 Newcastles. So we used to buy Newcastles because, honestly, it was cheaper to get drunk on Newcastles or to catch a good buzz off a couple of Newcastles. So it was Newcastle. Started drinking that, and when I started drinking Newcastle, you were kind of into it too.
yeah, I love Newcastle.
That's how I do too.
Yeah.
But
my favorite soccer team is Newcastle United because their kit or their jersey sponsor was Newcastle. I have 2 jerseys with the Newcastle beer logo on them.
the early 2000s, nobody knew what Newcastle was.
Yeah, it was.
I remember I had a birthday party and somebody brought me a 32 of Newcastle and was like, "You gonna drink all that?" Yeah. What is that? It's like I've never heard of this stuff. And I was like, "Dude, it's like good beer."
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to check it out. That brown ale, but that's how it kind of started. It was like I could get buzz on $6 instead of 24.
Yeah.
To, buying Bud Light or something.
Growing up next to Lamppost, man. Lamppost had the Main Street Brewery in there for a while, and hitting the blonde.
Yeah, that Beach Blonde was fantastic. When everybody's drinking Bud Light, Budweiser, and you just want something a little bit different. When you want something different, it was just like that blonde is good, and it was a good gateway beer. Now I even go back even further. I go back to Old Baldy Brewery, which was in downtown Upland.
Oh, you took me there a few times.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think I've took everybody there a few times. I think we all got drunk there one time the day before Dan got engaged.
Yeah.
And that place was great. They had food, they had beer.
I've been drunk there many times.
They had food and beer, which is unheard of. I go, that guy was so ahead of his time. So, I love beer.
So,
Go
Ale
off.
Smith, Pale Ale, 394. It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Thank you for sharing.
This is BBC News 24. Apologies for the break in our programme. Unfortunately, we're unable to return to it. Don't forget, our next news bulletin is at the top of the hour.
You know what really grinds my gears, guys?
What?
the fact that what is this?
100.3.
100.3. Is that what it is?
Yeah.
No more slow jams. It's all Christian contemporary bullshit now.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, I got a funny story about that. Christine was trying to look for something, and she went on 100.3, and it was Christian music. I don't listen to the radio anymore. I haven't
When did
listened.
they shut? Like, fully?
they
Why are
sh-
we not recording this?
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been recorded.
It shut down Thursday at 1 o'clock was no, I think 2 o'clock was the last song they played, which they played an album side, which what they were known for. They would play at 11 o'clock. They would play a whole album side, which is unheard of anymore in radio, because like I mean, you got to remember in the early days of when people were making records, you had like a theme going with your albums. So like to play a whole album side was cool. So they played the Beatles side 2 of Abbey Road, and it ended with the quote, "The love you take is equal to the love you make," kind of summarizing like what they did. But it ended Thursday. Annalie Chanley, who was the first DJ who went on, was also the last DJ that went on, so it went full circle. I mean, I know you guys don't listen to radio. I listen to radio because sometimes I'm just like, I don't want to plug my iPod in to drive 5 minutes. So I put on the sound, and I'm like, oh my God, there's Talking Heads. Oh my God, there's a Clash. Fuck, it's Rush. Let me change the chase.
That'll be a hard pass.
But I mean, I listen to sound, and then going to work is like, oh God, let me plug this in so I could get out of here and so I can listen to what I want to listen to.
Hey, how long were they around? I'm not gonna lie to you.
What?
I'm not gonna lie to you. How long were they around?
They're about 10 years.
Okay, so what was 100%? What was pirate radio back in the
It
day?
was pirate radio, and then it was a beat for a little while.
That's right. It went hip hop.
Yeah.
Went hip hop from pirate radio.
Yeah, and then I don't know what it was what it was before that, but I mean, this station has been flipped over a lot of times. I mean, in LA, what's the Coast has been around forever, K-Other's been around forever, K-Rock's been around forever, and Kiss FM's been around forever. Other than that, radio stations flip about every 3 or 4 years. Even K-Day was around, disappeared, came back, and now it's back again, I guess.
You know what LA doesn't have? LA doesn't have a modern rock radio. Because KLOS is classic.
Yeah.
It's actually classified as classic. There's no modern rock radio in LA. But, well, it's dead. You know what else is dead?
What's dead?
The Warped Tour.
I
Dun,
missed the
dun,
Warped Tour.
And
dun.
that brings a tear to my eye.
I'll be honest with you. How many times I've only been to like 2.
I've only been to 2.
I've been to quite a few, actually. I've been to at least 4 or 5. To taper it off. Okay, so Warped Tour, 95? 95, 96.
We went 97, 98.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah, because you were first starting Shauna.
No, well, I was working at that Kmart. Yeah. But anyway, I remember the first one I didn't go to. I believe it's sold out.
Kmart.
Yeah, they're dead too. Anyway, the first one I believe sold out. Good lineup. Those days, those were the bands that we were listening to. So I went to quite a few. Saw all kinds of bands. Rancid, NoFX, Bad Religion. I saw AFI. I think I saw AFI on one.
I saw Ozo Motley there.
Ozo Motley. I remember I was there with you. The Bouncing Souls played that year.
Yeah.
Sick of It All. That was a good year.
You brought me...
Civ played.
Yeah.
That was good.
Rick brought me Thicker Than Water, the single on cassette from the Warped Tour.
H2O.
H2 from
No, what-
H2O.
Epitaph always had a huge booth, and you buy one thing of merch and they just load it up with stuff. Because I think the Descendants played in 2. I remember seeing the Descendants because I had a shirt.
Must have gone before 97. Maybe it was in 99 when it was at Dominguez Hills.
Yeah, I went at Cal State Dominguez Hills, and then we went in Irvine Ranch or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. Anyway,
I'll say it was
doesn't really matter. Been around quite a while. A lot of big bands play. So Warped Tour kind of went like this. Back when it exploded, when everything, punk broke, skateboarding and motocross were a thing. A lot of those bands kind of played. Then it kind of shifted. Like the early 2000s, it kind of shifted.
I remember Weezer played in the early 2000s.
Yeah, and that's like when Weezer hadn't played
Katy
like for a long
Perry
time.
played on the Warped Tour. Eminem did the Warped Tour.
Body Count played the Warped Tour.
Body Count played the Warped Tour.
Agnostic Front.
Yeah, it was, and it got to be an eclectic lineup, which was kind of cool. But then for a while there, it took a turn to kind of like the screamo type stuff, which not so big into over here. When it took a shift to that, is kind of when we stopped. Dan and I had the opportunity that one year to actually be press for the Warped Tour, and that was a good year. That was the year we got to see Suicide Silence before Mitch passed away. Face to Face played that year. I believe the Bouncing Souls.
Alkaline Trio.
Alkaline Trio, Left Alone. Voodoo Glow Skulls. I'm wearing that shirt right now, actually. Yeah, that kind of did that. Reason 4, Kevin Lyman, the organizer, just kind of says it's just not bringing the kids out anymore. To that point where it's not bringing the kids.
Yeah.
The younger kids who it should cater to. It's some of us old stiffs. It's bringing. Next year, what he's trying to do is to get a lineup, kind of a classic lineup. Some bands that kind of broke big on the Warped Tour to kind of bring them back to do it, which would be kind of cool. I'd be interested in doing that. My daughter's at that point where she's kind of into some of that music. So, did you know kids are free on the Warped Tour? 13 and younger, you're free.
Wow.
So, yeah, 13 and younger, you're
It's like
free.
WonderCon.
Too bad I'm finding this out now.
Think I'll
But
pass for 13 years?
For this next year, if there's a couple of bands that she's into, if they play, I'll buy a ticket if there's a couple of bands that I'm into, and then she can get in for free. I only have to pay the cost of the one ticket, so I might do that, and she'll get to experience her first kind of festival type experience, which some of you old motherfuckers won't do anymore.
I'm too old.
Not unless I can get a press pass. I
I don't like half-hour sets.
Oh, those are terrible. But then I go back and I start thinking about things like the Alien Invasion 2, which is 15 years ago at this point. But, 100-degree weather, they're charging you $7 for a water or $4 for a lemonade that's going to dehydrate you even more. And it's not worth my time anymore. It's not worth watching 4 bands for a half hour that I want to see.
Well, Kevin Lyman also did It's Not Dead, and I did It's Not Dead in August. Yeah, I think it was just in August.
Was
just
he
after
the
school
host of
started.
it? Or he
Kevin
was-
Lyman's one put together. Man, they had that put together. It was 110 degrees that day in, where were we? Where was the hell?
Oh, Blockbuster Brilliant. Or not, Pinhun.
Yeah, San Manuel.
Yeah,
It's
San
called
Manuel.
Yeah,
Devore.
and Devore. It's hot there, man. But they did it right. You could bring in a couple of water bottles, and they had refilling stations and big fans, misting fans. I mean, huge misting fans that you go stand in front of. So they really try to take care of you there. If Warped Tour does anything like that, totally worth it. But I don't know if that was because that kind of crowd is older and a little more,
Ginger.
a little more ginger. But Big Daddy over here managed to pay for the VIP upgrade. So I had my own private restrooms and private bartender and all that kind of stuff because I was like, I ain't having this stuff. I can't. Not at 110, but I still have some friends who will still do the festival thing if it's done right. You're gonna get overcharged for eating and all that anyway. So just kind of make the best of it. But hey, yeah, for real though, Warped Tour. It's kind of sad. If the lineup looks good, I actually will go. Probably take my daughter if there's a couple of bands that she's into. But I don't know.
I
something
can
to
take your
consider.
son?
Nah, he can't handle. He can't handle cons and all that kind of stuff yet either. So he's just not into that stuff. Actually, the other day, my daughter had asked him, "You don't even like music, do you?" He's like, "No, not really." I'm just like, whatever. He couldn't care less. I'm like, sure, you're my son, but anyway, it is what it is.
My hair's getting long. I need a haircut.
What hair? Why don't you take care of that beard?
Oh, yeah, I forgot about
You know you can get a straight razor shave?
where can I get a straight razor shave?
Hey, and some balm for that beard. Crown and Stash at Dos Lagos.
Yeah. All you gotta do is go to crownandstash.com, make your appointment, buy some stuff online. We'll even ship it to you. Go to crownandstash.com for all your barbering and grooming needs.
All right, well, we want to thank you for listening to this first episode of the Extraordinary Culture Podcast.
Hopefully it didn't suck that much.
Yeah, we never know what the volume is. We'll work on a lot of stuff as we get going, but we figured the best way to do this is sink or swim. Jump right in and start swimming, or sink and start all over again. So we'll see kind of what happens there. But
Well, thank you for listening. Shout out to, of course, my wife for giving me the time off to come hang out with my friends and family here. You guys, of course, we've been doing crap like this for longer than I can remember. I think we would be arrested and be considered a gang at this point.
Yeah, we all have the same tattoo. I think we are a gang.
Legally, I believe so. So, yeah, thank you.
I want to say thank you to everybody that's listening to us for the first time, first podcast. Hopefully we're going to be doing more of these things a lot more frequently. Want to say thank you to our sponsors, Chino Valley Brewery, Crown Stash Barber Company. You can visit, actually, going back to Chino Valley, what's the website, X?
ChinoValleyBrewery.com.
You can also go to crownandstash.com. And yeah, that's going to do it for me.
All right, well, Dan the Man here. I want to send a big shout out to the Mousepire crew for help with putting this stuff together, with the technical advice and
Thank
just
you,
kind of
sirs.
putting this thing together, formatting and all that. So to Diggs, Anthony, Michael, hey, what's up, guys? Shout out to my lawyer for keeping me out of prison, and to the man upstairs,
My lawyer as
Larry, the used car salesman. Thank you. Shout out to
Selena
Crown and
Barnes.
Stash. Probably catch me there next week getting this cut because it's getting kind of long. No Shave November is almost over, so I'm going to shave this thing off my face, and we'll kind of see how that goes.
All right, I want to thank my girlfriend Leah, and I want to thank Blaine, Mark, and Kevin of Football Matters, or formerly of Football Matters. I also want to thank our sponsors again. My friend Mike, Punker Mike from Punks for Progress podcast. And thank you guys for listening. Also, if you want to send us music, if you want to become a sponsor, if you have anything to send us, you want to comment, email us at exocast@yahoo.com.
That was a lot.
Oh, yes, thank you.
No, the email address.
Oh. Yeah, I should do a sign off, dude. What do you want to say, like, all together?
Suck it.
That'd be funny. You want to do that?
Sure. Suck it.
So,
So before we go, we got 2 words for you.
Yeah. You should do that. So, for my
How about hey yo?
Hey, well, what do you want to do?
I go hey yo. We got 2 words for you guys.
Okay, then you stop. He's got to count it down. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Wait, this is still recording.
Oh, then well that's fine because you cut all this crap out anyway.
Well, I want to leave it in.
Should be after that.
Oh, okay. Hold on to me.
Hey yo, we got 2 words for you guys.
Suck
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 it!